Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is a follow-up video that I did. This is a follow-up video for a video I did back in 2018, early 2018. Some of you may remember, for those of you who really watch me. I did a video about this in 2018, back in January. And the video was about Daniel Franco. Many of you guys may know the story of boxing prospect Daniel Franco, who had a fight a couple years ago in 2017, and got put in a coma. And then Rock Nation, who we were signed to, Rock Nation Sports, Jay-Z and them, he was signed to them, and he never they refused to pay for any of his medical bills, and he was in a coma for over 2 weeks, and it was just really disgusting stuff, just horrible stuff. And it really, for those of us who forget the harsh realities of this fight game and the business of it, it was a very, very big reminder of how shady and how much of a parasite some of these promoters can be, and that includes Jay-Z and Beyonce. And I made a video about that. You guys can check it out. It'll be in the card right here, so be on the lookout for that. But Daniel Franco, here's the context of the story. And honestly, I mean, when I did the video last year, I had just done a video basically stating that that Jay-Z and Beyonce have knowledge on the situation with Daniel Franco, and nothing, to our knowledge, according to what Daniel Franco is saying, has been done to help him out. Now, there are two sides to every story, but he wasn't able to pay for his medical bills, and the guy was struggling for a while. The guy was in a coma and was getting no help, really. I believe they even had to start a GoFundMe to pay for his medical bills, and I think, I don't know how much money they raised, but I know a couple of boxing fans, and I think maybe it's like someone in this family, they started a GoFundMe account, if I'm not mistaken. So, the context of this is funny because this is back in 2015. Back in 2015, Franco signed a deal with Rock Nation Sports, and this is when Rock Nation was trying to make a massive run in boxing. They had signed Andre Ward, they had signed Miguel Cotto at the end of his career, they had Guillermo Rigondeaux. They were really trying to make a statement in boxing from a promotional standpoint. And they had actually booked Daniel Franco 3 fights within the course of less than 3 months, so 3 fights in 79 days. And these problems began in March 2017. Franco came down with the flu. It sidelined him from training camp for 3 weeks. He told Rock Nation at the time to postpone the fight or cancel the March 23rd fight, and he alleges that they pressured him into fighting. Now, this is actually a very common problem fighters have. I'll tell you guys a bit of a story. So many of you guys may know that one of my good friends is Adrian Granados, and Adrian Granados, before his fight with Danny Garcia, I talked to Adrian probably about 3 or 4 times before that Danny Garcia fight, within a 4-month span. And every time I talked to him for 3 or 4 months, he was sick, he had the flu, and it was having a hard time recovering for it. And he even said that he should have, he's told me many times after the fights happened, and even before the fight happened, that he should either postpone the fight, or he's been thinking about postponing the fight, because he wasn't feeling anywhere close to his best or competent enough to be at a level to where he thinks he could be Danny Garcia. But he went in the ring for the money, because it was a career high payday for him at the time, and you saw what happened. He turned in one of probably his worst performances, of his career. So it happens more than you would think in boxing. But this happened to Franco. He wanted them to postpone the fight, and they said no. He was later stopped in three rounds by Christopher Martin, and then he wanted to take some time off, but they booked him again to fight, just less than 2 months later on May the 12th. And Franco won that fight actually by a knockout in 1 round. He then says they had him fighting on June the 10th. And this is the fight on June the 10th where he was knocked out in the 8th round, and the coma happened, and and that's what it was. Now, Daniel Franco claims that Rock Nation never took the steps to make sure that he was actually medically fit to fight that time on June the 10th when he got stopped, which nearly killed him. He nearly lost his life, and he was beaten within an inch of his life, and the guy literally had to get parts of his skull removed to stop the bleeding. That's how bad it was, just for proper context. He was in a coma for 2 weeks, and he says he still has neurological and cognitive issues, and he's required to wear a helmet right now to this day to protect his brain at all times. He's suing them. There's a lawsuit against them. I hope he wins. But he claims all throughout the court documents that there was no necessary medical testing throughout the course of these 79 days, and they were forcing him to fight, like he just couldn't get out of it. Because once you sign with a promotional company, you know, you gotta fight or else it's breach of contract. And I'm sure Franco's not a big name in boxing, so I'm sure he didn't want that on his head, so he decided, I'll go through these fights, whatever they get me, you know, I'll take it, I'm a fighter. And but he went ahead and he took those steps when he wasn't feeling well, when he wasn't at his best, to try to get the fights canceled, to try to take some time off, and they just wouldn't allow him to. They just kept making him fight and making him fight and making him fight. So, you know, it's just one of them things, man, where like it really shows you the harsh realities of how fighters can get treated, because, you know, a boxer and a, you know, a fighter, they're some of the most noble athletes in the world. And forget athletes, they're some of the most noble, humble people in the world, and they have such courage to get in the ring to do what they do. You know, I don't care if you're an A-level fighter, B-level fighter, C-level fighter, journeyman, whatever level of boxing you're at, to step through those ropes and fight in that square circle in front of people, in front of, you know, hundreds, thousands, and sometimes millions of people. It takes a lot of courage, and you know, I really have a big respect for fighters, because, you know, I never had any amateur fights myself, but I sparred a lot of rounds, and, you know, this whole year I've been trying to live a more disciplined lifestyle, you know, as far as going to the boxing gym to train, running, eating the right foods. And I you know, obviously I cheat and I eat junk food sometimes because I like my junk food, but I'm more conscious, I'm more health conscious these days, and knowing that fighters have to do these things for an 8-week camp, it just gives you that much of respect for them, more of a respect for them. And so I have a lot of respect for fighters. I've got a soft spot for fighters, and when I hear stories like this, it angers me, because Jay-Z, you know, I know he's from the Marcy Projects, Brooklyn, and all that good stuff, but he'll never know what it's like to go in there and throw a punch. He'll never know what it's like to go in there and throw a punch. He'll never know what it's like to go in there and take a punch from a guy that's trying to take your head off in front of millions of people, and risk the embarrassment of getting embarrassed in front of your family, in front of your friends, in front of your loved ones, having your dignity stripped to you in the ring. He'll never know that. And that's what pisses me off about stories like this, is that guys like him who could wave his, like he signed your promotional company, so it's your job and your team's job, or for you to put people who are competent in what they're doing to make sure that the fighter is looked after. And if he's not looked after, it's your job that once, you know, the aftermath strikes, to look after his best interest as far as his health, because, you know, if you sign him and he's making you money, at least return the favor by, like, making sure that he's okay. But this guy was literally beat within an inch of his life, and before that he took all the precautions to avoid something bad happening to him. You ignored it, and then he got hurt, and you still ignored him, and they couldn't even get a phone call with Jay-Z and Beyonce from everything that was reported out there from the Franco side of things. So, you know, obviously there's two sides to every story, but you know, I believe him, because, I mean, the guy was in a coma and there was nothing done to help him from Rock Nation. Nothing, absolutely nothing was done. So, you know, I'm happy that Rock Nation is pretty much obsolete in the fight game. You know, to hell with them. I believe one of the only fighters they had to this day is, I think, Maurice Hooker, but Maurice Hooker reached signed with his own. But he might still be signed with Rock Nation. I don't know how that works, but they don't have a lot of fighters left, you know, because Coder's retired, Ward's retired, and Ricky Diaz is pretty much semi-retired. So they don't have a lot of fighters. But this is probably one of the most disgusting, you know, harshest stories out there. And you know, and imagine, this is one of the few stories we do hear about, but there's so many stories of smaller promoters we never hear about who mistreat fighters and treat them like garbage, you know, all across the fight game. I'm sure if I shared this video on Facebook and I asked fighters to share me some stories of a promoter mistreating them, they could tell me the stories of a promoter mistreating them. So, you know, just a big wag of the finger to Rock Nation. You know, horrible stuff. You know, that they never ever looked out after this guy, and he was nearly a casualty of war, a casualty of the fight game, and they did nothing to help the situation. And that's why fighters, you guys gotta be that's why as fans, you gotta really respect these fighters, because they go in every night knowing they could lose their lives, that their lives are on the line. That, you know, even if they get beaten within an inch of their life, there's no guarantee that their promoters will look after them. And these are the harsh realities of the fight game. These are the harsh realities that that exist within the sport. So I just wanted to report that, because, you know, Daniel Franco has in fact filed a lawsuit against Jay-Z and Rock Nation for you know basically just not doing anything to help the guy. when he was hurt, when he took right precautions to avoid getting into that situation. So just disgusting stuff, and hopefully he wins the lawsuit. You know, I'll be honest, I think he's gonna struggle to win the lawsuit because, you know, when you're going up against a billionaire, you know, they can get good lawyers, so, you know, it's gonna be tough. But, you know, best of luck to him in his lawsuit. For those of you who really care about fighters like you say they do, you know, please share this video. Like, share the hell out of this video. Expose Rock Nation, expose Jay-Z, expose Beyonce. Smash this like button as much as possible so that this video can get as much exposure as possible, because this needs to be heard. This needs to be heard. So yeah, that's what it is, and I want you guys to like it. Definitely share it. Definitely comment on it. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. And like I say in every single video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.